was that I'd hit a really bad point in my life, and I was kind of directionless. I'd been on the dole for a year, and at that time she'd gone through college and completed her course, and in that short space of time I realised that, I'd never finished anything.
Yeah.
And she'd just gone through and done this course, and she was off to university, and I was still back in Burton. But one thing, I just thought, actually, it's not that hard. It always felt like a marathon to me, doing stuff like that. Like, I thought school was like a prison. I actually looked at it like being in the nick and going, oh, a bit of bird, I've only got 3 years left.
Yeah, exactly.
I remember having those thoughts.
Yeah.
And thinking of it like that, I'll be free in 2 years. But I saw her complete it now, and that's all it takes, is just commitment. It's just a few months. And so I went back to college. Shane had gone off to Nottingham College. I went back to college, and for the first, you couldn't get away with this nowadays, but for the first sort of 6 weeks, I'd just get on a bus, go to college. I had a box with pastels in and other things, and I would go into classes and draw fruit. I'd go and sculpt clay and stuff like that, and it was my safe place, my haven that I went to every day. And after a term, one of the guys there, one of the lecturers who kind of we knew before, he ended up being in 24/7 and Romeo Brass.
Oh wow!
Colin Higgins. He looked at me one day and he went, "What course are you actually on?" And I just thought, "Oh shit, it's over." He's caught me. I can't. I was kind of pretending to be a student or something.
Just turning up and just do it.
And he went, and I just thought, I said, "I'm not on any course, Colin. I'm not on one." And I thought, I'm out. And he went, "Come on then, let's go and get you enrolled on photography and film."
Amazing.
And it was as simple as that. I went up, he enrolled me, and then I was at college, and then I was doing photography.
Again, the instant difference there between a teacher saying you've got to be an engine because I've told you to, and you equally could have got that kind of teacher who said, "What course are you on? Right, get out."
Yeah.
Instead of going, right, realising he's not on a course, but he's here every fucking day.
Yeah.
He obviously wants to do something. Let's do something. So. Yeah, so then you went on to photography and
I did photography, and that was great. I mean, I love boxing, so I started to kind of photograph fighters, and I learnt my craft at the Burton Boxing Club. A lot of failures, a lot of things not coming out on film, a lot of things badly lit. But I remember pulling out one roll of film, and the image was on there, and it was after my 6th attempt. I was so bad at photography, and there was an image on there, and I was like, wow, and it blew my mind.
It's there.
And then,
it's amazing, isn't it?
Yeah.
And the beauty... I did photography at Wolverhampton University, and just the beauty of them opening the doors and you having access to dark rooms, to all their equipment and stuff like that, and coming from a family where I couldn't afford expensive cameras and any of that kind of thing, it's something that you couldn't have otherwise. It's a genuine gift of an experience there, of being able to turn these things that were live in front of you onto something that's on this film and is captured there.
Yeah.
Amazing.
It's powerful. I missed photography when I went down to Brighton and did my degree, and when I left college, I kind of had all my portfolio pretty much I had published just before I left college.
Yeah.
I had published in The Guardian and The Independent and that, so it was like, look at this guy, but I left college with like nothing.
Yeah.
In terms of, I've sold all my work and now I've got to generate more. And I started to realise this is not going to be an easy experience to try and, stay up and afloat in this game.
Yeah, of course.
But, sometimes I just think that there's fate takes you where it's going to take you. And I always, throughout that time, I still love cinema. I worked at cinemas, and at the time Pulp Fiction had come out, and so everybody wanted to be a writer, filmmaker. Yeah. Everyone was getting jobs in video shops because Tarantino had worked in one, and it was going to have the same effect. But I definitely did. I brought those screenplays, and I did aspire to write and make films, not necessarily act. I wanted to make films. The acting thing, if I'm honest with you, around that time of leaving college, me and Shane were kind of hanging around again. And I was trying to make this little documentary on these Xboxes, and he came down to the edit suite one day and he'd lent me cameras and stuff, and he was making a room for Romeo Brass, and he just said to me, I've got a part in this film, and I can't cast it. And I was like, oh, right. Oh, right. You know, I didn't have any association with his films in that way.
Yeah, yeah.
I wouldn't assume for 1 minute he was thinking of me. And he said, I want you to have a go at it.
Amazing.
And I was like, oh, right. And I don't think so. You know, that was my initial
Really?
thing. Was
Wow.
like, I'm not sure. And he goes, listen, just have a go. And if it doesn't work, it don't matter. We're still mates.
Yeah.
He goes, but just give it a go, you know. And so I did. I remember I went to the Nottingham, the Central Workshop, and I went in there not knowing what an audition was, not knowing how this thing was going to play out. The only experience I'd had of it was a few school plays and a youth theatre group. And I sat there in the room, and there was about 20 kids all auditioning for Romeo Brass, and I had to audition all 20 of them.
Wow.
And I had to improvise and come up with something for each kid. And honestly, to this day, Pip, I have no idea what took over me.
Yeah.
I don't know what happened in that chair. I don't know how I managed to come up. I didn't know where the words were coming from. I didn't know. The things were just happening that were out of my control. So I just went with it. And afterwards, Shane was like, "Yeah, man, you've got the part." And I was like, "What? Just like that? Is that what
That's
you do?"
how simple
Sort of
it
thing.
is.
But
I mean,
and then the character became for that what it became later on. We kind
Right.
of rehearsed that for like a couple of months. We were always getting together, 3 months even, and then the actual character with the accent didn't click in until a couple of days before filming.
oh
It just
wow.
again that
Just
just
it
came
just
out of
happened to
nowhere.
come in because it's one of my favourite characters.
This piece of fiction is the intro to distraction pieces. This piece of fiction is the intro to distraction. This piece of fiction is the intro to distraction pieces.